My name is Amy, and this is my amazing daughter, Olivia, who is getting ready to start 6th grade, and she's going to share a little bit about herself. What do you like to do for fun?
I like doing cheer and doing lots of crafts.
Crafts, like what are your favorite crafts?
All. Making it myself.
Making things yourself, yeah. Sewing, jewelry making, mess making, all the things, right?
Possibly soap making.
Possibly soap making. That'll be a new adventure, won't it, sweet girl?
Yes.
Kindergarten was when our amazing teacher realized that you were having a hard time.
Yes.
Yep. A hard time learning letters and letter sounds.
Rhyming.
Rhyming was treacherous for you, and that's a common problem with dyslexia, right?
Yeah.
You got a reading specialist that started working with you through RTI, and that helped, but it didn't help enough because they still wanted to hold you back in kindergarten, and we said no. Went to first grade got harder and harder because now, even though you were great at math was hard because you couldn't read the word problems. Do you remember that?
Yes.
How did that make you feel? Do you remember?
That I was like, I guess I'm not good at anything, because normally if you were bad at reading and writing, you would be better at math and science, but I wasn't.
Or it was being hidden, right?
It was being hidden because I couldn't read it.
Because you couldn't read it. This was probably,
Second, maybe?
I don't know when it was, but earlier. And I think what this is
comparing.
Assembling her sandwich. I think it's comparing and contrasting, but the spelling and the letter inversions. My sandwich is like a little
Bess.
I think that was supposed to be piece of grass in my mouth, but it says bess of grass. Piece is spelled B-E-S-S. Little, L-I-T-T-O-L. Cheese is as a piece of... you know what you said? White heaven. That's white heaven is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say that, right? It's W-H-I-U-T, white.
Or A-T.
Heaven, H-E-V-I-N, so that's what it is. It really exemplifies some of the problems that continued to be an issue. One of the obstacles was that teachers were either hesitant to use it because they were unfamiliar, or were resistant to using technology with the feeling that it was going to be a crutch. With assistive technology, we did have a principal that was really reluctant to support spelling, using spell check or any of the other things, but at the same time, there was no spelling instruction going on, and so we were in a no-win situation, and that was a pretty big obstacle because a student with dyslexia does need spelling instruction, and that wasn't happening, but we also weren't supporting that with technology, or they were very reluctant to do that. And I think there was a huge reluctance with using, it was voice typing. That was what the problem was, because if we're letting her use her voice to type and author pieces, we're not expecting her to spell them, right?
Yeah.
And you can't spell what you don't know, and you don't know what you can't spell if you're not being taught. So it was this vicious circle of, we're not going to teach you how to spell, but we're also not going to let you use the support that's ideal for you to support your spelling deficits.
Some teachers asked if this would help, or if they would do something different to help better. And I was like, we can try it, because I didn't know. I thought they would know everything. So if they think that would help, it would probably help. Because I did not know that teachers didn't know everything.
Do you remember some of the the tools that you used early on in school?
I used Learning Eye, and I used the teacher's computer to write. I also used Co-Writer, but it wasn't that helpful because I didn't know how to spell, and I would think that words were different words because that's how they were spelled.
Yeah, Co-Writer is a fabulous tool. We love it. I love it.
Whenever you know how to spell.
Well, not even that, but your spelling was so bad, it was so bad that it wasn't even helpful. And I think that's important to remember, that what's good for one student may not be good for another. And
to keep an open mind.
And give different tools, different options for different kids. How did it make you feel in school when you weren't getting the help that you needed and you were still struggling?
Like, I probably am just dumb because, like, this is helping for everyone else whenever it wasn't, because I just thought that, because...
You're a kid.
Yeah.
Well, our first official IEP meeting took place to start her support in 2nd grade. So when I say it took a long time to get support, it took us 2 years too long to get support. But when we finally got to the table, her dad and I were, of course, there. She was too young. Usually kids around 14 are about when they start attending, but the principal was there, assistant principal, I believe the diagnostician, obviously her grade level teacher, and the dyslexia interventionist, and case manager was also there. And it was a good start to finally get some help and IEP in place and some accommodations. And that year was great because we really did have a classroom teacher who recognized the problem. We hadn't had anybody since kindergarten that had really recognized that this was as difficult as it was. And really, she was the impetus of getting us help, because we had been asking for help for a year and a half and had never gotten it. But it was when she saw the concerns that we saw with the reading and sent out the Mayday signal that we actually have something happen. The IEP meetings are not fabulous. I will say they are, even having been a professional providing special education support in schools for a long time, it's totally different as a parent. It's very intimidating and difficult to walk into a room of people that are really should be responsible for shaping your educational future. And a lot of times I didn't always feel heard, which is difficult because there's nobody that knows Olivia like her mother, for sure.
Yeah.
Some of the things with us with reading was all about a level, was all about some haphazard system of telling us what was going on. Or
if you weren't there, you can't ever read.
What do you mean?
Like at the level that you're supposed to be at for each grade.
Gotcha. So that was one thing, but saying that we have the skills at certain level that are acceptable levels for some, but we can't go read a menu at a restaurant or write an email or send a text or doing anything. A lot of times in the meetings when we were talking about accommodations or what she needed, I'd say, well, I'm not the one doing it. She's the one. And this was probably later elementary, by 4th grade. And while she wasn't in the room because she was busy learning in the classroom, we did ask her. We would stop the meeting and someone would go ask her specifically, what do you want or what do you need? So hindsight, we probably should have had her in the meeting, but they're pretty touchy, and sometimes if everybody's not all on the same page, it's probably just better for students
to be there.
Think everybody is on the same page and kumbaya, right?
Yes.
Was it nice that she saw that it was reading was hard for you?
Yeah.
And it was like, whew! Was she actually helping?
Understands. Finally.
Yep. She was sweet, kind, committed to your reading success for sure. And you grew leaps and bounds that year. Leaps and bounds. Do you remember when you were talking with your about that science test? The one time, the science
test where only one person got 100, and that was me. And like everyone was asking, "Who got the 100? Who got the 100?" Like they asked everybody, and they didn't ask me. And they're like, "You got the 100? How?" Whenever you read the teacher read it to you. Probably because the teacher read it to you, she was giving you the answers.
How did that make you feel when that happened?
Like, I didn't deserve to get the best grade when I did.
But you did. So I think that's something that can be delicate, and I think where using technology can be helpful if it's done well, and that the technology can help be the support instead of the teacher. For us, COVID was a blessing because it put us all at home. It put her out of a situation that was uncomfortable and stressful, and where I could facilitate what she needed.
Do better help with me than they could ever.
Right, that's what I just said. I could facilitate helping you.
I didn't know what that meant.
Okay. So putting us at home and letting me kind of be in charge, that took away the resistance of using technology and having to advocate. And then you also used at home more. Snap and read, which we love Snap and read to do homework. And that was something that was really helpful. And also when you were writing, you would use voice typing, right? We would use voice typing. And we could do that on the iPad with Snap and Read or on the computer. And it was super.
And then we would either print it or email it to my teacher.
We struggled a little bit with teachers understanding, having the support that they really needed, just because everybody's busy and nobody has enough time to do it all. But that was kind of a struggle, and how it was helpful for us because we could do it at home or at school. And I was able to give the school some examples of how she was using technology at home with homework and ideas to be able to use those at school as well. So Snap and Read is one of those tools that our district provided as a universal tool. So everybody that wanted to could use it. And so what's great is that it actually works on a computer through a Chrome extension or an iPad app. So how Olivia really liked it was when we had homework that came home.
Word problems especially.
Word problems. Well, anything. It was really nice. We had to pull this out, so this isn't necessarily what you would be doing. It's just really more of an example. So,
but I would be doing word problems.
Okay, well, why don't you take a picture of this and show everybody how it works?
So if this were my homework that I would be taking home, I would take a picture of it. And it's very quick and easy. If it's crooked, it's okay. You can put the text on the bottom, on the line. So I click use photo, click text to put in the text, and I can use speech to text here, and I could put in the name, but I'm just gonna put in my name just very quickly. And then I'm done. Click done, and I can adjust, make it bigger, make it smaller, zoom in on it, and then it's in there. Then you can fill out the rest, and it can also read it. So yes, I do want it to do that. And then it's done, so I can click on the word.
Joan had 58 Pokemon cards, and 7 were torn. Sarah bought 14 of Joan's Pokemon cards. How many Pokemon cards does Joan have now? 2.
And then I can pause it, and then I can click write with the pencil, and then I can write in my answer. I'm just putting in a random answer because I'm not going to take the time to do the math. And then you can also underline the important things, or like zoom in and circle the numbers that you have to do and how many does Joan have. Now, so you underlined and circled all the important stuff, so now you can do your work. And that is just basically repetitive among this, on this worksheet. And then to like email it or something to your, or like give it to your teacher, you can click share. And then you can find all the ways you can share. And then you can also look at these. You can print it. You can add a tag. You can save it to a files. And that's all. Oh, oops. Never mind. And that's all you have to do to find out how to do it. And it's very easy and very simple.
We did end up setting up some shared Google folders, which was really helpful so that we could keep technology. This was pre-COVID when everybody was not forced to use technology. And so some of those things that we were creative in coming up with some solutions to be able to use technology and foster that, COVID fixed for so many kids because everybody had to use technology and figure out how to make it work. So there are some benefits that came. I think everybody's more willing to use technology now. So I'm hopeful that it's not a little more willing. Yep. We experienced enough kind of traumatic experiences with school the last couple of years in public school. It really affected both of us pretty much in our headspace. The anxiety because school was so hard and just so frustrating, and now I say she got her I got my spicy girl back, like 'cause she's full of it in a good way, but it was muted for a long time.
Mute. I was put on mute.
It was helpful though when you found your voice, right? And when we told you it was okay to tell teachers what you needed because they weren't you, right?
They were not.
They were not.
Brain.
They were not in your brain.
You are though, sort of.
Sort of, but even not like you. But when we say it's okay to tell people that you need help,
It's okay.
it's okay. I don't know that it's with IEP meetings what you can improve. I think as long as everybody's respectful and cordial and really focused on student success and what a child needs instructionally, explicit instruction, evidence-based instruction and interventions, along with the accommodations. It's really important to make sure parents are heard, that their experiences with their kids are validated, and really also, I think sometimes we forget to focus on student strengths and playing with those in mind and letting a kid really flourish in their strengths. And why not write a strengths-based IEP goal? Why don't we work on some of the things that are less challenging or integrate their abilities with the things that are more difficult? So I think that those are some things that could probably make it easier on everybody on the meetings. And really when you can make tools available to all kids, if you're not testing reading, then why don't you let all kids have access to something if they need support for science or for math or something more universally and just an option
like a
for
calculator.
And no, you cannot do a calculator.
But you're gonna able to use it in the real world.
You're right. You got to learn those math skills.
Real worlds use calculators.
Okay, work on that one. We'll see what your math teacher next year thinks about that. Bring the technology, allow the student to use whatever they need, wherever they are in the classroom, whether it's at a desk or in a peer group or however, and making tools available for all kids to use, really with a universal approach. That was how the technology in our public school was provided. The things that she used were provided and available to all students. She doesn't use it a whole lot anymore.
Because they can actually do it.
Because she can actually read, and I think that's important for people to know when we're talking about assistive technology as an accommodation. It is essential. It is absolutely essential to help level the playing field and give students access to curriculum that's appropriate for their grade level. But it's important to remember that the technology is in addition to explicit instruction and not instead of explicit instruction.
I like math now. I love it, actually.
You're really good at it. You have a really smart brain.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But you know that now, right?
Yeah.
So tell us how school's going now.
It's amazing.
You're being funny. What's different? We changed schools, right? So
Yes.
what's changed the past couple of years that's been better?
That they actually know how to teach.
That does make a difference, right?
With my dyslexia.
Yeah. So your dyslexia is helpful. About technology, do you feel like you need it less now or more now that you have more teaching?
It's kind of hard to say because then I knew I needed more because I wasn't getting any, but now we use it daily, so.
That's interesting, right? It's kind of
it helps. Like I'm like, oh, I don't need really that much technology. And then I was like, just give me one single computer and I will be happy.
You needed more technology, and there was
Yes.
some resistance. I think we have to cut teachers a little bit of a break if they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
That maybe it's a scary thing, but
Yeah, the evolutionary technology.
yes. But you just showed us that it's simple, right?
Yes,
It's simple.
very
Just
simple.
let the kiddo do it, right?
Yes, if
And
they
that-
know how to do it, it's very simple.
It is. She talked to the school board, the state board of education. She's talked to legislators. She's talked to everybody trying to make sure that nobody else has to do this. She says, I'll tell my story what?
As many times as necessary
To do what?
for no one to do what I had to do.
Right.
Or go through the struggles I did.
That's right. And school's going so fabulous now. What do we have?
Countdown.
A countdown to go back to school. We can't
Yes.
wait to get back to school, right?
It's 21 days till school. Hashtag read.